Everyone. I think we'll be getting started. Um, Welcome to our Discord stage with our founders. We had a few dozen questions submitted over the past 2 days in that Google form, and we'll be answering some of those questions um, right now. So I'm going to just introduce our speakers real quick. We have Derp Tunnel, which is Matt Tonks, who's our CTO. As well as that, we have Thoracle, who is Thor Alexander, which is our CPO. And they'll be the ones with us tonight answering questions.
Hey, everyone.
Hey, everybody. Welcome to the AMA.
Cool.
We ready to get going?
Yep. We can get started with the first question. Thor, this one's for you. Will the game be free?
Yes, the game will absolutely be free. You can get in, play the game, have a lot of fun without ever paying us a dime. Like many free-to-play games, also there will be premium features, so you'll have the ability to purchase items and premium content in the game. That's totally up to you. You don't have to. You can have a lot of fun without ever paying anything.
Cool. The next question we have, again for Thor. So the question was kind of asking about the PvP mechanics. Someone asked, they know that they'll have player versus environment in the initial stages, but how does this team envision the game's PvP mechanics?
So the focus of the game right now is solely on player versus environment or player PvE. So we're a small team, so we have to call our shots. A lot of us are big fans of PvP, and we look to do a PvP game in the future or potentially add some PvP elements to big time. But right now, our focus is purely on delivering the best PvE experience for you guys that we can.
Cool, sounds good. Next question is from Matt. Is there a reason to buy a VIP pass other than early access?
Yeah, so the main reasons to buy an early access pass are first, you get a sort of a memorable collector's item in the NFT. You know, even after the pass is redeemed and the game, you have access to the game, you still get to keep that NFT, which is kind of like a badge of honor or being able to be part of something early on. But also, it's worth noting that you get access to the game ahead of everyone else, which is the full game. So, you know, as you're playing the game, you're going to be able to earn NFTs. And if you can earn NFTs before everybody else can, that's a very, very attractive thing. You know, it means you kind of get first dibs on all the earning potential there. The other thing is we'll probably end up adding some kind of in-game flair to people that have the early access pass. So even after the game opens up to everyone, you'd have like some cool badge in the game that shows the fact that you're an early founder or an early access pass holder that kind of started the game getting kicked off before everybody else.
Cool, sounds good. Thank you, Matt. Next question again is for you. Is there a possibility that the gold VIP pass holders mine all the available NFTs?
The NFTs will be available to all pass tiers, so no.
Sounds good. Next question is for Thor. Will free-to-play players be at a disadvantage if they don't buy anything in the game, or will the opportunities be the same?
No, you won't be at a disadvantage at all. So we made a design decision very early to draw a hard line between gameplay-based items that give you a stat boost or a advantage in the game, and cosmetic items that just give you a cool ways to peacock out your character. So the NFTs are all on the cosmetic side. So you can't buy something that gives you power in the game and helps you win.
All right, sounds good. Our next question will be for Matt. Is there any additional utility apart from early access that you plan to build into the VIP passes?
So this is a pretty similar question to the other one that I just answered, but just kind of reiterate. I think it can't be understated that early access to the game is actually more than just being able to play it early. You actually get access to the NFTs before everybody else. But we do have some plans on other cool stuff that we're going to add in the game that you get with the pass. That's the only way you'll get it. We haven't announced any of that yet, as it's still sort of up in the air a little bit as we kind of solidify what those plans are. But it's safe to say that at the very least, it'd be sort of a badge sort of situation that shows that you're a pass holder, and we'll probably be adding more cool stuff that goes along with that NFT in the future.
Sounds good. Next question again is for Matt. How much will gas prices be? I think they're asking in the context of our sale coming up on September 16th at 8 p.m. Eastern.
Okay, so the gas prices for the most part would be very low. The bulk of the NFTs will be sold on Polygon, and so that's going to be a much lower gas fee. The fees are in the cents instead of anything else. If you wanted to bridge your NFT from Polygon to some other chain, like the main chain, you'd be subject to Ethereum level gas fees. And I believe the auction items will be sold on ETH instead of Polygon, so those would be subject to Ethereum gas fees, which is whatever the Ethereum gas fees are at the time, something between $10 and $100 usually.
So if you want to check out what the gas
Sounds
fees
good.
are,
Next question is for Thor. As someone who has no information on cryptocurrency or NFTs, would I still be able to hop on the game and be able to understand everything?
Yes, absolutely. So this is one of the key design considerations, right? We want to make the game highly accessible to everybody. So a lot of what we're doing with our technology that is different from probably every other crypto game is we're taking all the crypto parts and moving them to the back end of the user funnel. What that means is when you come into the game, it's not asking you to install a MetaMask or another wallet. It's not asking you to go buy cryptocurrency. It's not asking you to have an account on an exchange. So you get right into the game just like any other AAA game. The crypto features are on the back end, where when you decide that you want to take your NFTs out of our ecosystem, then you can opt into that flow. And that's when you have to start thinking about crypto. For everybody else, you don't have to worry about that.
Sounds good. Thank you, Matt. Or thank you, Thor. Sorry. Next question's for Matt. How does the play to earn mechanics of Big Time differ from other NFT games?
Thanks. Actually, before I answer that, I want to give Ryan a chance to answer. I think you started to say something there a moment ago about gas prices.
So if you guys want to check the gas prices at the time, you can go onto something called etherscan.io, and you can do there is like whenever gas prices are a little bit low, you can bridge over your assets. Because sometimes like there's a lot of like NFT drops, or like if someone launches a new program, Ethereum can get quite clogged for a very short amount of time, and so you kind of want to avoid those congestion periods. Like if you're in traffic, you don't want to be in the traffic times.
Okay, and so back to the other question: how does the play to earn mechanics of Big Time differ from other NFT games? There's a lot of NFT games out there that all are a little bit differently. So rather than trying to list all the differences, I'll just tell you what Big Time is going to do. So the main avenue of playing to earn here is by playing the game and killing monsters and getting loot. Sometimes that loot will include cosmetic NFTs. So you'll be able to play the game, complete quests, kill monsters, and all those things that you'd expect to get loot for in a normal game. We'll also include NFTs that you can then sell in auction or trade on our marketplace for normal fiat currency as well as cryptocurrency.
Thanks for the answer on that one, Matt. Next question will be for Thor. Wrong question. Will this game be open world where I can play with friends?
Yes, but open world means a lot of different things to a lot of different people. What this game isn't is a big MMO like a World of Warcraft, where you have this ginormous continent. Our world is big, it's just not that big. And one of the main reasons for that is our world is about time travel. So we are spending a lot of time opening up possibilities for players to travel to different time zones to have different adventures there. Much more than, say, like a World of Warcraft, where you have different zones, but you don't have the type of variety that we're talking about. So, like, over time, as we add more and more of these time zones, um, you get to adventure everywhere from like ancient Egypt to cyberpunk Vegas to it's in the far, far future. So our focus is more on taking you to lots of exciting and interesting locations than it is in creating one big giant living world. That being said, you can definitely adventure with your friends. Game has several different instancing mechanics. The one we've talked about the most is the adventure instances, where you go in with a party of up to 6 people. And you have a really cool adventure fighting lots and lots of monsters that's just for you. There's also larger spaces that are hubs where you'd go out and you'd meet people in the field, show off all your cool loot. And then there's the purely social spaces. Epoch City is the name of our main city, where you'll be able to meet hundreds and hundreds of players. And that's where your main questing hub comes. And that's where you go and you train up with the trainers. You go to the marketplace and buy really cool items. That's where you'll be doing a lot of your social gaming.
Thanks, Dor. Our next question is, will you be releasing any other games?
Yeah, so Big Time is our first game, but it won't be our last game. We will also be doing other games on our platform with other companies. We're going to take all the cool stuff that we're building and open it up and allow other people to use it to bring blockchain to their games as well. We'll be having some announcements about this stuff in the future, but right now our focus is on early access for Big Time.
Sounds good, Dor. Our next question will be from Matt. Will the early access be open to everyone or only a set group of people?
Early access will be available to anyone with a VIP pass. And just so you're aware that we're selling VIP passes in the upcoming OpenSea sale. They range from $199 to $799, I believe.
Thank you, Matt. Next question is for Dor. What devices will the early access game be on?
So our release is on PC. We really love crossplay, so one day we would like to offer big time on consoles for sure, as well as Mac. But being a small team again, we have to call our shots. So our initial focus is where the players are, which is largely PC.
Sounds good. Next question again is for Dor. There are so many play-to-earn NFT-based games launching, including games with its own tokens. How will you attract gamers with so much competition?
So the biggest thing to keep in mind about Big Time is it is first and foremost a game and not just a piece of blockchain technology. So our focus is largely on making a very fun and addictive gameplay experience that people are going to love, and then introducing them to blockchain and the advantages of NFTs from there. So this is probably the biggest difference between what we're doing and what everybody else is doing.
Sounds good. Next question is for Matt. At the moment, the concept of game design and mechanics built on games with time and repetition are becoming very popular. What is the peculiarity of the big time concept, and what inspired the game designers when creating it?
That's a doozy. So I think the main thing Well, there's a lot of a lot of stuff that went into this. A lot of it is just we felt it was an interesting narrative, an interesting concept to explore. But one of the things that I'm most excited about this aspect of the game design is it gives us lots of freedom to explore different timelines and interesting juxtapositions of timelines with one another. I've worked in very long-winded franchises like Gears of War where the intellectual property or the kind of what the world is and what the game is pretty much set in the first iteration of that game, and you can deviate a little bit, but you don't want to kind of like break the universe, if you will. And that means that you kind of set yourself up in the very first go, and it's hard to deviate from that very much. But when you're talking about time travel and alternate universes, we can stay within the bounds of the game and still explore all kinds of crazy new mechanics and new settings, especially. So we can go to the far future with cool sci-fi spaceships, and then jump back to the past in Shogun Japan, and jump over to Victorian England, and that gives our artists and our game team kind of like a fresh palette every time, and the ability to explore crazy new looks and styles, and also game mechanics. When you're jumping to each one of those areas, you're gonna, for example, if you jump back to Shogun Japan, maybe you're fighting guys that are using samurai swords and more melee. But if you go to the far future, there's going to be higher technology, and that changes the way that you play. And I think that to me is the most interesting part of all this, just kind of keeping it fresh.
Thanks, Matt. Our next question is for Thor. How will this game be crypto friendly for users who don't know anything about crypto or NFTs?
We talked about that a little at the top of the call, but a little more detail on that. So we've created some really cool proprietary technology to spare users from having to be crypto savvy, including hosting wallets, custody of their items, the ability to trade items with no network fees. So there's a lot of cool things that we're doing that make having a blockchain-based game a lot more accessible for everybody by getting crypto out of the way, and at the same time still holding on to the things that we really like about the capabilities that crypto brings to games.
Sounds good. Thank you, Thor. Next question. What will the guild system look like?
This is a great one. We can't say a whole lot about the guild system. We tend not to talk about stuff that we don't have working in the game. That way we don't get into a position where we promise you guys something that's just pie in the sky. That being said, we really love guilds. We really love seeing that guilds are forming in the community. And we want to hear from the community about what are the main guild features they'd like to see in the game. And we'll be probably having special chats in the future with a focus just on guilds to get more information. And also, as that system comes online, to talk more about it. But we're really excited about it. It's going to be really cool.
Thanks, Thor. Next question is from Matt. How many NFT items can you equip to your character? For example, armor, weapon, etc.
We don't have a set number for the upper bound. Really, it depends on what NFTs you own. So what I mean by that is if you have an NFT that is a sword cosmetic swap, for example, like you bought a sword that has a Vorpal blade and it has a cool onyx looking metal to it or something like that, you'd only be able to equip one sword NFT at once, because it doesn't really make sense to have like two different cosmetic swaps for a sword, because you can only hold one sword at one time. But you could have like a sword swap, you could have a helmet swap, you could have an NFT that adds flames to your sword in addition to your cosmetic swap. So it just sort of depends on what NFTs you happen to own, and you can they're slotted in most cases depending on what makes sense. But if you had one of every slot type, you could equip them all. And in a lot of cases, we'll have NFTs that apply to multiple slot types. For example, you might have like the flaming NFT is a good example. Like you could apply that flaming look to any piece of gear that you own, and maybe if you had 10 different types of flames, you could equip them all on different pieces of gear. But you probably couldn't equip all 10 flaming NFTs on one piece of gear because it would just turn into a mess. But yeah, so there's no hard answer to that, but I guess a lot is a short answer.
Thanks, Matt. Next question's for Thor. When can we get a first look at the game from the player perspective?
So early next year, 2022, we'll go into early access. That's where the VIP passes come into play. And that will be the first look into the game that players get, and that will be followed by open beta, when players without VIP passes will be able to get in. And the way the VIP passes work, the players that bought the gold pass get in first, and then the silver, and then the bronze, and then if there's another tier of special pass, and then the open beta.
Sounds good, Thor. Thank you. The last question for tonight's going to be for everyone. What are you most excited for in the game? Maybe Matt, you can kick it off and we'll just go around.
Sure. I think the thing I'm most excited, well, I sort of already talked about this, but I'm really excited to see all the different timeshares come online and allowing people to play around in, the Jurassic period with dinosaurs, but also in Victorian England, but also in the far future spaceship kind of thing. Like that to me, I think is going to be really fun to work on the game for, but also for people to play because, maybe when you're on your spaceship, there's low gravity and you have different movement mechanics and like all those sorts of things tend to change up the experience really a lot. But other than that, I think the thing that I'm most excited for is seeing what kind of awesome like meta mechanics arise out of the fact that this game is NFT tied. So I can imagine a situation where there's people, like high level streamers like Ninja or whatever that are really good at playing and have really good gear, and they're sponsored by other people, and they get it. Their sponsors get a cut of the NFTs that they earn, and everybody's kind of watching that guy's stream as an event, and it's people do that with games already, but imagine the excitement that would be added on top of all that if they're like the NFTs that they're earning when they kill this really high level boss are super rare and awesome. Maybe it's like he kills a boss that's a very difficult boss to kill, but he happens to get an NFT that's one of a kind. That kind of excitement I think is going to be very interesting to see. Almost like EVE Online has a little bit of this with their big guild battles. You get lots and lots of people observing and watching what happens, even that aren't necessarily playing the game, just because it's really exciting to see what ends up transpiring, and you kind of build your own story around all that stuff. So I think that'll be cool.
So for me, the thing I'm probably most excited about is watching the in-game economy develop. So because these NFTs are worth real life money, there's now like skin in the game for everyone who's kind of committed. And so there's going to be kind of like different porting mechanisms for how the direction that one player, like let's say like one player wants this NFT versus like other players like that NFT. There's going to be different valuations, and then because these things are now worth real life money, the approach of it will be very very different in regards to like how committed guilds would be for like their late night raid fest or battling against other bosses in the game to try to like really make sure that they can acquire the items that they want.
So for me, this is a tough one, right? Which one are you most excited about? Excited about all of them, so it's hard to pick a favorite, but I will call out one that don't talk about as much as the other ones. It's super cool, which is the ability for players to have their own personal time machine and decorate that with all the cool artifacts they find in the game, and then invite their friends to come over and hang out and have a really cool social space they can host people in, and really make it their own. I think that's going to be an awesome feature and a fan favorite.
All right, sounds good, guys. Thank you for answering all our questions. I think that's going to wrap it up for the stage tonight. As always, you can check out our blog where you can read about our characters. We just released a new enemy today. And as well as that, as a reminder, our sale will be on September 16th at 8 p.m. Eastern on OpenSea. And as well as that, you can always ask questions in the community channels, and our moderators, like Gray, will be helping out. Other than that, I think that's all we have for tonight. Thank you all.
Thanks, everyone.
Thanks everybody for coming out. We really appreciate the community and the fact that everybody's dedicated to this game as we're making it. It's great to see. Thank you.